All right, so you guys seem like a really hip crowd, really cool. Oh, no? all right, fair enough. But I grew up listening to stuff called punk rock music. And one of the staples of punk rock music is this thing that often confuses people who aren't in the scene. Is this thing called a mosh pit. People seen this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, sure, right? So essentially, what a mosh pit is a bunch of kids running in a circle, hitting each other to music. And a lot of people are like, why did they do that? Weren't they happier not being hit? And so I wrote a poem about that, and perhaps offering a little bit more context to why a kid might want to go crazy for just a little bit. All right, so this is called Dance. Awkward and dirty, 14 showed me no inherent home. See, I was not sport-oriented, nor very socially accepted. I smelled badly and had skater bangs. They were like this, and I'd be like, "Hey, what's up?" It was like a curtain to a stage, and when the play started, all of the actors were acne. Oh, put it away. Despair was imminent. But there was an all-ages club 2 blocks from my high school home. I was scared of the clientele lined up to get in every Friday and Saturday with their torn t-shirts, scarred skin, and electrically charged haircuts. I did not initially accept them. But their ideology couldn't help but accept me. I was drawn to go to the show, my first punk rock show, half expecting to be stabbed by a skinhead for talking to a Jewish kid in my biology class. I entered the damp nicotine haze, vacillating between hope and doubt, while 100 sweaty kids appeared to be kicking the crap out of each other, while the Meshuggahs, wine press, and the boll weevils gave me a crash course in beauty. I was stomped. I was bruised, cut, scraped, and stomped. I was stomped by a skinhead. But it wasn't for talking to a Jewish kid. It wasn't for anything specific, really. It was because this world is uglier than us, man. And while I don't share his bald politics, Skinhead Ron split open my skull to the explosive expression of movement to release, flailing because, screw you, I want to flail. I'm going to punch that guy in the back. And then I'm going to spit on the stage. And the music's so fast, you're always on beat as long as you don't stop moving. Don't stop spinning. Sweat and bleed out the reasons why being awkward and smelly and 14 is next to impossible in this age of showering and coordination. Because there is no logic to our social structures. Logic is for buttholes. Pathos was our king that night. We were all individuals together, a feeling, breathing, vibrating mass of gelatin, a jello mold with bones being stirred to the music. Being served to the music. You don't feel the beat is your feeling, stumping out the heart rhythm of a cokehead on diet pills and speed! And maybe I was deluded. But those 100 frustrated kids kicking the crap out of each other was the closest I have ever come to unconditional love. See, all you needed was $6, fists and feet, and you belonged. It was a war with no casualties. It was hardcore. It was safer than reality. You were home in the dance. Your home was that dance. Thank you. Mike McGee!
Mr. Robbie Q.
Yes, sir.
Why are you a poet?
I really, really like attention, and I like it when high school kids tell me I'm brilliant. Those two things are plentiful in the land of poetry. I don't know. I like the idea that I couldn't do anything else, and so I might as well just do poetry. Slam is cool because at the core of it, you could be completely illiterate, as in you can't read, you don't know what English looks like, and still be a slam poet. The credentials you need in order to succeed in it are different and more egalitarian than in other areas. So I think it lets more people play. So humor is just one way to surprise, to get at that sort of aspect of poetry that refigures and recomplicates the world that we live in. And humor at its core is, incongruencies, putting one thing juxtaposed to something else that don't really fit. In my experience, that's a much more honest way of looking at the world that we live in than the sort of high serious kind of poetry, because this world is completely incongruous. The humor that I use is often taboo humor. That is humor
Fisting Muppets?
Fisting Muppets, correct. It is humor that fists Muppets, basically, all of it. The organization I work for, Young Chicago Authors, is this marvelous group that tries to get at all aspects of creative writing through all kinds of schools in Chicago, and including Chicago public schools, which I don't know how much people outside of Chicago know about them, but they can be very abysmal. The way that those school systems are set up, and especially with No Child Left Behind, it's just like disgusting how people can get arts into these schools, because they have to meet these test scores and minimum test requirements, or they get their funding cut. And so they're like, well, let's get rid of these creative writing programs and things like that. And so what we do is sort of fill that need. And Slam is this way, like I said, first of all, it's you can slam a poem and be completely illiterate, which is cool. But what that also does is it you could start off being illiterate, but then it points towards illiteracy. Slams don't exist in a vacuum, and as the community grows and demands growth from its members, you will be forced to look at language and look at the arts in a way that will continually surprise and impress the community that you're in. What Slam can do is make it cool to know what poetry is. And that coolness does so much work, so much more work than a lot of teachers can do, because kids are then sort of intrinsically motivated to learn about poetry, as opposed to extrinsically through grades. Grades are this horrible abstraction. Specialized nonprofits could be the wave of the future in education, where school serves this one purpose, but then groups like Young Chicago Authors and other nonprofits who specialize in these things will fill those other needs. And slam poetry is great for teaching.